A homeless man named Patrick might not have had a roof over his head, but he had plenty of love to give to his pooch named Franklin. He made sure his dog ate before he did, even if that meant that Patrick went hungry for days until compassionate people could help him out. One day, Patrick and Franklin found themselves in a frightening situation. But it was the kindness of a stranger named Wilma Price that brought Patrick to tears and saved Franklin's life. Wilma was walking out of the Walmart in Huntsville, Texas, when she spied Patrick holding a cardboard sign. He wasn't asking for food or a job, but rather made quite an unusual request that caught Wilma off guard. His sign read, "Dog in pound. Need help." Being a dog lover, Wilma was drawn in by Patrick's plea. He was begging for money so that he could spring his dog from the animal shelter. She took notice of how desperate Patrick looked, but with only $8 to her name, she decided to head back to her car. Yet halfway there, Wilma stopped, haunted by his words. There was no way she could leave Patrick and his pooch in the lurch, Wilma told CBS News. So she went back. He looked like a little boy standing there lost. Wilma asked Patrick what happened and he told her he'd gotten in trouble for trespassing. He had to spend 2 nights in jail and Franklin was taken from him. The dog was classified as a stray and placed in a local animal shelter, all alone and without Patrick. When he finally was released from jail, the shelter informed him it would take $120 for him to spring Franklin from the pound. Patrick told Wilma that there was no way he was leaving town and moving on without his dog. He also feared his dog might be adopted out to someone else or worse, euthanized. Wilma could not believe what had happened and, recognizing just how much Patrick loved his dog, felt compelled to help him. She and a friend pulled the money together and headed to the shelter with Patrick in tow. They made a quick stop at the store first, though, to make sure Patrick had the supplies to properly care for Franklin, such as a water bowl, dog food, and toys. Soon, Patrick found himself face to face with his beloved dog, receiving oodles of sloppy doggy smooches. Patrick, a grown man, began to cry when they were reunited. He could not believe the generosity that Wilma, a complete stranger 2 hours before, had shown to him and Franklin. "You did more for me than most people have done in my life. You don't know how much I thank you." But Wilma wasn't done there. As the owner of Mr. K's halfway house for hounds and kitties too, she was inspired by Patrick's love for his dog and set up a GoFundMe page to help out the duo who needed a gentle boost to get back on the feet and paws. Even though Wilma quickly shrugs off the praise she's received for her kind deed, she encourages everyone to not judge a book by its cover. She emphasized that everyone deserves a chance and you never know when it might be you that needs the help. Source: http://faithtap.com. We all know that dogs are man's best friend. But what happens when a man loses 50 pounds and shows up at the house for the first time in 5 weeks? That situation is precisely what this sweet pup and master were forced to deal with when Shane Godfrey fell ill and had to go to the hospital. After 5 long weeks away from his beloved Rhodesian Ridgeback, Willie, Shane was unsure if his dog would resent the time he was away. But he had no idea that the dog would have a serious problem with his super skinny new look instead. Shane's rapid weight loss occurred when he was hospitalized following a serious bout of the flu. That infection quickly spread to his entire body, and soon he was battling sepsis, double pneumonia, encephalitis and kidney failure. Doctors warned Shane and his family that, while they were doing everything they could to bring him back to full health, there was a good chance he wasn't going to make it. The entire time Shane was in the hospital fighting for his life, Willie was staying at his aunt's house. While it wasn't home and Willie clearly missed his owner, Shane's sister did a great job looking after the pup. Thankfully, the doctors were able to treat Shane successfully, and he was released 5 weeks later. While getting back into the full swing of things would take some time, the very first thing Shane wanted to do was see his dog. Unfortunately, the time away from Willie and all of the weight he lost made the reunion tricky. Instead of running straight over to Shane, Willie's reaction was something much different. Check out Willie's odd response to seeing Shane for the first time here. Source: http://faithtap.com. When fallen officer and Air National Guardsman Joseph Lem was laid to rest, a heartbreaking scene behind the casket quickly captured the world's attention. Perched on the shoulders of Lem's partner, the hero's 4-year-old son sat stoically as he watched the emotional proceedings unfold. What happened next left bystanders in tears. As they watched the heart-wrenching moment, the tiny boy paid his final respects to Dad. Joseph Lem had tragically passed in Afghanistan, after serving his country and the state of New York for over a dozen years. Nicknamed Superman, the brave cop was well known and respected in his field. He climbed the ranks quickly as a beloved member of New York's finest, and eventually went on to serve his country overseas in the military. Thousands came out to pay their respects, mourning the life of a hero gone far too soon. Leading the way was his 4-year-old son Ryan. Wearing Dad's gold shield and cradling his police hat, little Ryan Lem left attendees in tears with what he did next. Walking with officers, he trailed closely behind the flag-draped casket as they made their way into St. Patrick's Cathedral. Watch the tear-jerking moment. The sweet preschool solemnly lifts his tiny hand to his head, saluting his heroic father for one last time in the emotional video below. Source: http://www.sharetap.it. When Officer Matthew Zarella heard about a shelter dog about to be put down, something told him he needed to take action. While the dog was extremely hyper and energetic, he had a feeling there was something special about this puppy, so he decided to take a closer look. It didn't take long for his suspicions to be confirmed, and when you see how this serendipitous story unfolds, you will quickly understand why. Shelter worker Patricia Inman was heartbroken when she learned that the precious pup was about to be put down. She worked tirelessly trying to train the rambunctious dog, desperate to find her a loving home. While the pair was making progress with the training, it still wasn't enough. Just hours away from being put down, she knew she had to act fast. Calling in Rhode Island State Trooper Matthew Zarella, the shelter worker pleaded with him to adopt the sweet puppy named Ruby, but she never could have anticipated the incredible turn of events that followed. When Zarella arrived at the shelter, he instantly fell in love with the precious pooch. Although she was a bit wild, he also recognized that she was very smart. He immediately contacted fellow officer Daniel O'Neill, and made a proposition he couldn't refuse. Dog lover himself, O'Neill had been asking for a canine partner for years. It was a lifelong dream of his, so when Zarella offered that he keep Ruby as his own, he was thrilled to get to know his new partner. Devoting the next 4 months to training, O'Neill set out to turn the unadoptable dog into his canine partner. Not only did he succeed, but as he would soon find out, Ruby was about to serve a much bigger purpose. 4 years after becoming his canine partner, the pair set out on a patrol in the woods to search for a missing teen. As they made their way along the path, Ruby suddenly veered off course, barking urgently at the officer as she pointed him towards our mysterious sight. O'Neill told Providence Journal, "We were 1.5 miles into the woods when Ruby all of a sudden quickly darted." The officer was stunned to discover the missing young man, severely injured and in need of critical care. Little did O'Neill realize at the time, but Ruby and this stranger shared a deep connection. Once he realized who this man was, his heart instantly dropped in his stomach. Watch the video below to see how this stunning story unfolds. What an incredible coincidence. Source: http://www.sharetap.it